reinforcement. I like the way you're talking together. Good working out on that problem, etc., etc.
One of the things teaching the lower school, at the lower school levels, that I teach medieval history, and the children start right out in the hallway where they're lining up, and that sometimes the transition period is very difficult for them to get into the room. So what I would do is I would quickly look for focusing on the positive behaviors, such as who's standing quietly in line, and that person would get to go in to sit in the seat of nobility. And then once they're inside the room, I pass out medallions or the ring of silence, or I incorporate anything and everything into the curriculum so that I'm focusing on the positive and not the negative, and everybody likes the attention. So you get everybody pretty much wanting to do something good, and I very seldom have any behavior problems because of that. We have seats and ability, we have medallions, we have gems, we have all kinds of reinforcement.
Well, somebody might say, but you're prohibiting. How would you answer that?
Well, my first objective is to make the child feel good about themselves, and as the semester goes on, I do less and less frequency of that, and as they're able to wean away from that, I do less and less, and then they're able to monitor themselves pretty much without that kind of reinforcement.
Sally, another idea is the giving tree. You paint a tree, or you put up a tree on the wall, and every time a child does something kind without having been asked to do it, it's sort of like random acts of kindness. You write it up on the leaf, and you paint it on the tree, and then it becomes the giving tree. So something's there for everybody to see, and it's something intrinsic. They're not getting something concrete for it, but they're getting praise and reinforcement, and that works very well with our kids, because they love to see their names up there. And of course it does begin by them doing things deliberately just to get their names up there, but after a while they get into the pattern and they realize that yes, they do feel nice when they do something for their classmates and for their friends. Excellent.
Yeah, I was really struck by how good manners with the kids is really a matter of practice also. We want them to do this out of the goodness of their heart. We want to see them become little good people. But we learned it by rote, by our parents saying, we're correcting us. And I was amazed with my own daughter when she answered the phone. She would never say, "1 moment, please." She'd always say, "Hold on." Well, it took her about 8 years of saying this over and over. Now she's 17. Invariably, she says it without thinking, "1 moment, please." And I think kids are the same way at school. We've set ourselves up to feel like failures if they don't do it, every week just the way we instructed them. They might move on to the next grade and still not do it, but if they're told over and over, they eventually do it. And part of the practice of that at the lab school that was real, I thought was touching, is somebody in the junior high, and I don't know who it is, did an English letter writing lesson, how to write a formal letter. But the kids had to write to their teacher, to a teacher, and they were only allowed to say nice things. They said, only pick the things you like about the class and write it to that teacher. And that's practice for that kid. And also, I found, I approached those students who said nice things to me a whole lot different. So it improved the whole relationship. I thought it was a real good way of giving them that lesson instead of in a roundabout way.
You're going to have a situation on this card that produces frustration, and your partner has to figure out how to help you, how to reduce that frustration or solve it. And we'll go around the room and you'll say what the problem is, or you'll act it out for us.
I'll give her time.
I give her time.
You already know why do you
Get the child to notice it on myself.
Okay. Let's go, everybody. I would like to start over here.
Okay, our card read, deal with the child who will not remove his foot from the desk. His active defiance. He's almost saying, make me remove it. So we talked a little bit about, I guess, the importance of not getting into a confrontation.
because the more you say, take your foot off the desk, the less likely they would be to actually doing it. Talk about options with the understanding, though, that ultimately the goal is getting that foot off the desk so that the rest of the lesson can resume. Talk about the use of humor, perhaps, and maybe giving some way for that child to stay safe. I think that was important to us, that there was some way that they could comply with what you wanted them to do. It was clear that you were the person in charge, but still letting them have some way of saving face so that they wouldn't be embarrassed in front of the rest of their peers. One thought was to say, you know, now I'm going over to work with Paula for a few minutes. And when I turn around or when I'm finished and come back, I expect that you're going to be back doing your math lesson. And maybe by taking your eyes off of him or her for a minute, going over and working with somebody else, that might give them the opportunity to not be doing something on demand and maybe be able then to not be embarrassed and move on. Our other one was keep the student going or working who says things like, I have to go to the bathroom, I'm tired, my stomach hurts, I have a headache, I need to see the nurse.
I need a Band-Aid.
Children often that maybe say some of these things are anxious about some of the activities that you're asking them to do. It might be particularly in an area in which they're weak. It's probably not something that they're enjoying. It's not in an area of strength. And one idea was to give them a very specific schedule of their day so that they could see that maybe they only have three more things to do before lunch, or 2 more things to do before there's outside time. And maybe in that concrete way they have some way of looking ahead, being able to see that it's not an endless day, that there really is an end to the activity that they're doing, and that maybe the next thing down the line is something that they'll enjoy.
Our problem was what to do with the giggler, who finds everything funny, becomes silly because there's a spot on his paper, and he names it Spotty, and laughs. Well, our idea is to take the paper with Spotty, let him present it to the class, and let us all giggle on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, giggle. Now we're going to take Spotty and retire Spotty and put him away. And we're going to give a reward to everyone who can maintain focus on this subject and leave Spotty in his little box.
We have the child who clings to the teacher and wants exclusive attention, as though he's the only one in the class. I'll ask the child. This is too hard. Miss Porter, can you help me with this? I can't do this. I'd like to work with you.
Well, I like to work with you too, Joy. But what I remember is that you did this problem yesterday, and you did it for your homework last night, and you did a wonderful job. Do you remember how you started yesterday?
I don't know.
We'll tell you what. Let's take these blocks, and why don't you work with them for a while? Just count out 11. That's the first thing we'll do. And I'm going to go over and work with Nicole, and I'll be back to work with you in about 2 minutes. Okay? 2 minutes? 2 minutes. Okay. So you try to do what you can in 2 minutes, and I'll be back. You are always mean to me.
Well, how did you know that I wanted you to put your pencil and paper on the floor?
I'm just kidding. So if we assume that I've just given you a math problem or just given you something to write, we might start with that. And then I have to try to know the student and figure out something that really motivates them. For instance, do they love to draw? I could say, I'm just kidding, but you know what? If you go ahead and do this math problem with me, and I'm sure you can get it, because I'm going to show you the way you can get it, then I bought a whole new box of colored markers in here, and I thought we could draw rainbows afterwards.
Would you make the assumption that she's throwing this because she can't do the work? Yeah. Okay. Next.
7 minus 4, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, Gina. I'm sorry you threw that away, because what I saw was that you had written some wonderfully clear numbers. Your spacing was good. It was very clear. But you kind of stopped before you gave yourself a chance. I hate subtraction. I hate math. Well, sometimes it feels that way because you're being very hard on yourself. Can we give it another try? If I get another clean piece of paper, and we can start again?
Do I have to write my name and everything?
Well, how about if we start with doing the numbers, and then you can write your name later. Writing your name is a hard thing to do right now. Can we start with the numbers again?
Okay.
I was just going to say, one of the things we talked about was that sometimes children throw away their paper because it's not good enough for themselves, that they're very critical of themselves because they see the mistakes rather than seeing the good pieces that they've done on the paper.
One of the things I'm fortunate enough to teach is the Middle Ages, and it's taught as a club approach. So in this situation, I have a child that's working, that simply refuses to do anything and very negative and mouthy. And what this child would do is,
You want me to do what?
well, we're just going to do this activity, and I bet once we start it, you'll really like it. In fact,
I don't think so.
well, you know what? Remember the story about Beowulf when he pulled off the arm of Grendel? Yeah, and how the blood poured all over.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to put your arm on the table, and we're going to cover it with plaster. And after it's been covered, we'll paint.
My
blood.
arm? Wait a minute. My arm? No, I don't think so. I
You know
don't
what?
think so.
Wait,
You're not touching my arm.
well, you know what? I don't have to touch your arm. Just set it right there. And you know what? I have some of these plaster strips. I'll let you put it on your own arm. How's that? And then if you need, yeah, and then if you need some help, I can help you.
And you're not touching.
No, no. And, you know what? You're doing such a great job. I have something in my pouch here. That, you know what? Look, this is a medallion. And this medallion will give you special powers so that you can just relax. And I can do that. And you can, because it gets a little hard at the top to do. So here, I'll give you this medallion. And once, okay, now you got the power. See, in the Middle Ages, people had power. They believed things had special powers. So here, I'll just finish this up for you. And you're finished. Great job. You did a wonderful thing.